Hello, this is Diego Mangabeira and welcome to the Boring Sales. Today we're going to talk about the A/B testing cold emails, what I've actually tested and I would like to share with you. And maybe those strategies might work for you in the email marketing strategy that you have right now, outreach, outbound, or even any strategy that you might create in your DTM strategy at this point. Okay. Those tests were based on more than 600,000 emails. Uh, to the point is what it was something around 663,265 emails sent. A lot of failures, a lot of efforts that I put in, okay, and a few surprising wins, and those wins I'm going to share with you on this episode. The test that actually moved the needle and what I've completely did wrong, and I'm going to share everything with you. The most confident I've been about an email was related to this understanding, right? When I worst performant I ever sent. So when you perform worse than ever, you feel that feeling. Oh, I could have done better on this case. That's the feeling that you might have because you sense that, oh, now I did everything wrong. Now I can start winning my strategies or even my copywriting. I can do everything correctly. As soon as you do the worst, you can do the better. Basically, that's what I understand. It's like the vibration energy, right? Negative and positive. When I start doing that, most of the time I also invest a lot of my time. In this case, there are some examples that I just use to share with you. 2 hours writing it, 3 hours writing an email, just to make sure that I was um, aggregating all the right information from the lead or for that company. And there are 3 people who loved it, but in terms of reply rate on that specific sequence that I started sharing, basically I had 0.3 reply rate. That's not so good. I make a lot of effort, but at the same time, I didn't have any uh, turning back to me, right, in terms of results or KPIs. But there was an email that replaced everything in 8 minutes that worked really well Tuesday morning, but I was running late, so I sent, but not on the right time that I was forecasting to share it with it. And that email became my control for 6 months because I was benchmarking that strategy on other strategy that I tried before. And testing humbles you. There's something around the semantics on this case. When you test a lot, when you do A/B testing, when you do, for instance, subject lines, variants, when you create copywriting, when you study copywriting, storytelling with the best in the world, you understand that humbleness or humility makes you better, and which I is why most people avoid to do it because there's a kind of arrogance on be better, right? Especially in sales. So it's really hard for a serving person or sales that's serving, like that's related to coaching sometimes, right? To serving people. When you understand things, when you want to accomplish better results. So that's one thing. On this episode, now I'm going to share with you in this podcast 5 real tests and what were the real results I took with all of it, right? Each one of it. The first test was related to a long email and a short email, and I'm going to share with you what that means. Long email that I share 8 sentences, full context, in detail social proof. So those were the variants that I applied to that email. The short email, I had 4 lines, very straightforward, minimal context, same CTA. Which one of them was the winner? Was the short. So the short won. On this case, every time that I shared or compared the long version with the short version, short always won. Okay. And across every ICP that I've tested, and I tested in many ICPs related to tech, to SaaS, computer software, to hospitality, healthcare, banking, insurance. uh, and many others. I'm just remember those ones. And people read cold emails on mobile. That's really important for you to say to understand. In iPhone or Android, imagine they have their accessory. So they have this vertical thing that's called smartphone, is mobile. So they are going to reach to read your information like this. So once you understand that, you personalize the way that you are going to share or your information or communication, but you get better once you start doing it. In between meetings in 4 seconds most of the time. So in the short version converts compared to the long because of these three variables. First, people read cold emails on mobile. The second, between meetings, and they invest 4 seconds only. Okay. The second test that I did was related to question CTA versus calendar link or Calendly, or I use a lot of programs, even Google Calendar, call.com. Anyways, doesn't matter. So the CTA was worth a 15 minutes chat. That was the one variance. And the second variance was here's my Calendly. And then I shared the link. Okay. Which one of them convert better? The question won consistently. So Calendly in a cold email feels presumptuous. So the person does not pay attention, or he or she understands that it's spam. Okay. So the link was not clickable, but the question feels like conversation. Okay. Can we, for instance, another type of question that you do that way, can we give me three time slots next week for us to meet? Something like that. That converts better there. Here's my Calendly. So instead of share your Calendly or calendar link, call.com, Google Calendars and stuff, share only that type of question. And then you can see their conversion is going to skyrocket. Test number 3 that I did was related to first person instead of corporate voice. So first person would be like something like around I noticed, okay, versus corporate. That sounds like this. Our team has been following your work. So I noticed our team has been following your work. First person won every time. So people like to talk to people, not with robots. Okay, even with AI, I have a lot of friends, and I'm from tech, right? IT, AI, ML, LLM, and uh, even talking to the machine. On this case, talking about AI like as a machine. People like to talk to people. If you sound robotic, that's AI. That's not a human made. Okay, so cold email is human to human, not company to company. That's really important. And there are a lot of sales people all around you doing that, and maybe you are still doing it. Test number 4 that I also tested was related to humor versus straight conversation. This one depends completely on the ICP. Sometimes you cannot use humor, but everybody likes to laugh. That's something. Smile, right? That's something that everybody likes to do. So technical founders or engineers, they dry, self-aware line outperforming straight copy. Okay, sometimes that's the way it works for them. Enterprise procurement and legal, humor bombed. That's really interesting. So if you like to test humor with enterprise procurement or legal, that would work. So direct one. Okay. Direct on case instead of humor. Know your audience before you try to be funny. But sometimes funny is like a straight line or a little tiny line. But I'll say that you would try. Okay. If I were you, I would test just to check if that makes sense. And that is because you might differentiate yourself from the competitors. Okay. Test number 5 was related company name in subject and without. So prospect company on this case plus our company in the subject. In this case, this performed worse than generic curious subject line. Sometimes I test a lot, and on this case, I test a lot. And it depends from the niche as well. Sometimes it gets attention. Sometimes it doesn't get, because it's sign of sales email before they even open it, because they see the company name. Oh, that's really corporate stuff. I won't pay attention on it. So how to test properly on your case? I'll say one variable at a time. I did those 5 tests with you for you, so you do not need it to do. But if you'd like to do it, do it. If you change everything, you learn nothing. So follow the step by step that I just shared with you. Also, you need to test minimum 100 delivery emails. So per variant below, that's just noise. You cannot have a proper sample to understand or even to measure. And run at least 5 business days before calling a winner. So test the 5 variants or variances, and then come back to me and share with me or in our email, or even on comment on here Spotify or YouTube or whatever, wherever you are. Track the full chain. So open rate, reply rate, positive reply, negative reply, why not? And meeting booked. And each metric, each KPI tells you something different. So just don't chase options. Try to understand everything, not just opens. Okay. And the lesson that I had, I'd like to share with you is, I'm a bad predictor of what will work. That's why you need to test by yourself and see if that works well with you. Okay. Turns out, so is everyone. Everyone is testing. There's no right or wrong. It depends from the company, the solution, the product, the service. Anyway, don't send what you think is good, because most of the time you don't think the way that your customer, your client thinks. That's arrogance per se. Okay, that's what the data says is good. If the data, a lot of studies, or even AI, you try AI and it does show you something interesting, try that information first and then yours, and test again. Testing is not a project, it's a practice. So pick one variable, test with your numbers, and go from there. That's the true advice that I could share with you today. Okay, wish you a great day. See each other in another podcasting video here in BoringSales. And like I always say, keep it boring. Bye. Take care.